Well, a very warm welcome back to Talk Norwich City. It's Jack Reeve, joined alongside a very smug Benjamin Flynn. He's laughing already. He's
I'm just
laughing.
laughing that you're on holiday and it's getting completely ruined by this transfer. I'm sorry, Jack. You need to. I'm going to go and throw my phone out the window after this as well. I'm not
But
laughing because I'm smug.
I was enjoying your video, Ben, where you said you went out for a nice romantic
I
meal with
did.
your good lady, and you did the noble thing of leaving your
All
phone at
true.
home, and
Yeah.
I imagine you returned home and switched it on and thought, so there was an emergency, didn't
Oh,
you?
it was just a puddle. It was just a puddle of melted phone on the table. And yeah, today's just been ridiculous. But what a story, Jack.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, we've been making videos together for what, nearly 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
With us in the Premier League, you in the Premier League, you in League One. I was about to say you winning the East Anglian Derby. It's not got to that levels as of yet.
Do you think that's one of the clauses for the extra 2.5 million? if he
I
if he
love that
wins the East,
achievable bonuses. I mean, what does that mean?
I got no idea.
Um, Look, we've covered a lot. I didn't think we would ever get to the stage where we were covering not only a Norwich City player joining Ipswich Town, but one of our best players, Marcelino Nunez, joining Ipswich Town for a fee that looks to be set for about £10 million. I mean, just remarkable. I watched your video this morning and you know, brilliant as always. But I've never seen you as speechless. I don't think it didn't really feel like you knew how to pinpoint it, and that's very much the feeling in the Norfolk side of East Anglia as well. I mean, just try and sum up where you're at with things at the moment.
Well, I know you've got your ear to the ground, and it's just how it came out of nowhere for most of us. And I guess if you're going to do this type of deal, it really must have been kind of kept under wraps. So you'd only assume a handful of people knew that this was going to happen. I mean, there's the football side where we can have a sensible conversation about Norwich have got a good fee. Ipswich, the Morsey Luongo midfield that got the double promotion is gone. It's over and they need a central midfield. And Nunez is very good and he knows the championship. And Norwich have done the groundwork in terms of settling him. And all of that makes sense. And you can even say, Jack, good deal for Norwich for the price, 1 year left on the contract. Good deal for Ipswich for the player. And, you know, we've been sat in opposite seats. It's the David Mitchell gif. Are we the bad guys now? We're the ones with the parachute payments and the extra money now. So that's the type of deal you can do. Club A with them and Club B without them. But then you put the two club badges in, and particularly and you're going to be able to speak better to that than me. Just the feeling on, is it unacceptable, even if this is the only bid, even if this means you keep Josh Sargent, who now goes on and scores 30 goals this season, is this an acceptable deal? And it's a Chilean player transferring between two American-owned clubs.
Yeah,
Is that just where we are now?
Well, I think sadly, yes. You know, would this have happened under the Delia Smith regime? Potentially not. I think there was probably a lot more emotion attached. I think the one key bit of context here is I don't think this was pushed through by the ownership group at Norwich City. They were more than willing to let his contract run out and let him go.
How much did you sign him for, Jack?
It was about £3 million, I think.
Oh,
So
okay.
not a huge amount. So on paper, this is
And this would be his third season?
No, a few more than that.
Oh, really? He came with the other Brazilian lad, didn't he? Who went off to
just before Sarah, I think. So
Yeah,
I think he's done
Sarri,
like 4 seasons potentially.
Okay.
So yeah, we've made good money on him. I think for me, Ben, there's a few things. We're selling to put the badges aside. We're selling to a direct rival in this division. One of our best players. You predicted it. I predicted it. I think we'll both be up there this season. At least I did 3 weeks ago. The ball was in our court in terms of we don't necessarily need the money. Does an upfront £7.5 million
PSR position good? Yeah, it's always been pretty good at Norwich, hasn't it?
Good. There's not a need to sell, and particularly now with the American ownership, and it comes so late in the window that we're not going to be able to make a direct replacement. Yes, we're signing Pal Matson, but he's kind of more of a number 6. He's certainly not a creative midfielder. And the 2 games where Marcelino Nunez hasn't played this season, where he's been injured, and we'll get on to his injury concerns, we have looked a far worse team. So you've got that. Norwich will be a worse team without Marcelino Nunez. And then you put into, we are, from a PR perspective, this is a complete and utter car crash. And you just layer huge amounts of pressure on. If you're Ben Napper and if you're Liam Manning, who would have given this the green light, you now have a huge amount of ground to make up before you've even started. And that feels like...
Can I ask you a cantankerous question, Jack? What will it take for you, if we speak, we'll probably speak before both the derby games. So take the second derby, which I think is in April. What would it take for you to sit here and chat to me and go, okay, looking at it now, that deal made sense?
Nunez doing his hamstring in the first game and being out.
We don't wish anybody to get injured, please.
Well, I mean, the injury issues will be a concern. He has been injury prone throughout his Norwich time. I think everyone was fairly open to Nunez leaving, and I mean the numbers being quoted before were like £4 or £5 million. We've made more money than we were expecting. I just can't wrap my head around. I mean, you would have been, very on it with Marshall crossing the border back in the day. I mean, that was 24 years ago or something. We got Andy Marshall on the podcast about 12 months ago. It's the most hate we've ever received on a video. There is still absolute hatred around
lovely
him.
Guy, Andy.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen. There have been maybe, 2 rumours in the last decade that I can remember of a potential switch across the border. No one's ever been idiotic enough to make that.
And not a top player. And I suppose Marshall was on a free transfer, and that was just after Ipswich got promoted. To be fair, did you have, I think you might already have had Rod Green in
that period,
coming through anyway. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Ian Crook will get brought up because that kind of happened and then didn't happen. But yeah, is this the new kind of thing, or is it, I don't think it will be. I think this will be a big one-off.
I think if you're, I'm fascinated to get your kind of take on the Ipswich reaction in a moment, other than just laughing at us, which I think is actually a very.
I was laughing because you were on holiday. Let me make that very clear before, and no one gets to hear the 5 minutes chat Jack and I have before we go on, and you were just making me laugh, so I came on already laughing. Sorry, continue, mate.
But I think if I were a Norwich player watching the reaction to this, you're surely just going, there must be, if this is the only option, you just don't take it. You wait it out. And I think from a club perspective as well, even if Marcelino was absolutely desperate to join Ipswich Town, you let the contract run down and then you let him go there on a free. And then the club aren't involved then. It's a complete...
And it probably wouldn't be Ipswich, Jack. There'd be loads of other clubs ready to do the deal on a free, wouldn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so what has the Ipswich reaction been? Because this is completely unprecedented for both sides, right? This caliber of move hasn't happened before in the history of the clubs.
Well, it just gets dominated by the emotional reaction, which is just people crowing, isn't it? No. We took one of your best players, and it's that. It's what makes. I know I've kind of got a reputation for being balanced and not doing that, but it's kind of what makes football go round, the rivalry and the tribalness and the emotion of fans. And my take, Jack, is if you don't want to get burned by football banter, you don't play. But I'm sure there's plenty of Ipswich fans who have sat through 5-1 home defeats and Paul Lambert getting WWE to script his own red card at Carrow Road or whatever, and been roundly mocked. And we've been in League One, and then we've zoomed past, but then we still didn't beat you in the in the double promotion run. So it's tit for tat all the way, and this will be the latest bit. And until we, if you care about the tit for tat, Jack, it's probably Ipswich 1 up now, isn't it, with the double promotion and the throw a relegation in there as well. But this signing now, and it all factors into the first game in October, where there's only one player anybody's going to be talking about. So when you put the surprise aside, it's kind of nice that, as I said, the David Mitchell gif, we're the bad guys now. We're the ones that can do this deal from not only a fellow championship side, but our nearest and dearest rivals. So look, Ipswich fans are not going to shut up about this. You know how it works, Jack, don't you? You know, I mean, we've covered content in a season where Norwich finished top and Ipswich finished bottom. So it comes and goes. And I think you and I have a fairly similar take on it, that if it's good-humoured and fun and doesn't get too mental, then it's fine, isn't it? You know, you go back and forth. But I'm sure on the Talk Norwich City content and on my content, we're going to get some arrows shot at us. But yeah, once the crowing dies down, and I hope your assessment that he might have some injury issues, hopefully that doesn't come to pass, then, you know, he's got the potential to obviously be the guy that ditched Norwich. That's the dream for some Ipswich fans. He's going to ditch Norwich. He's going to get promoted with Ipswich. Because who was the last player to score the winning goal in the East? You can't write it, can you? And he does that. So yeah, is that how you're kind of seeing the Ipswich reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I think if this was the other way round, I would be laughing at.
So imagine you'd got promoted and this was Liam Delap. You'd done the 30 million release clause.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely, you know, you're joyous, aren't you? I'm just constantly caught between this, and not just with this Nunez situation, Ben. But I suspect you're in a similar boat. I mean, you're trying to cover a multitude of teams neutrally, and of course, Ipswich Town very much at the centre of your heart. But I'm constantly split between this balance of, like, I support a football club rather than a bank, rather than a balance sheet, right? And yes, the money for Marcelino Nunez is good, great, you know, but it's not, you know, I'm not seeing any of that money coming into my pocket. I only care that we are playing good football, and yes, within our means. But like, sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, we've done a really good deal there, and we've progressed them, and we found a gem and sold it for more, and that's happened with Maddison and Murphy's along the line, whoever it may be, Ben Godfrey. But ultimately,
Godfrey mention. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, that will unlock some trauma for you. It's, you know, we support football clubs, and these deals hurt when you dig down. We have lost one of our best players to our rival. It's as simple as that. We have lost a player that we thought understood Norwich City, and has actually just gone, I don't care about you. I don't care about my teammates. I don't care about the fans. I'm off. See you later. And that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah. Some of the comments I've got, can I get your take? Is this a bit of a cope? The comments I'm getting saying, oh, I'd have driven him there. You know, we got great money for him. He's sick note, blah, blah, blah. Is that just the defences?
I think so. I think the opinion has certainly changed over the last couple of weeks. I think there was we obviously signed Jacob Wright, who looks a really talented young
he's really good,
midfielder, but hasn't quite hit the ground running this season. And I thought after that, and we signed Mirko Topic, and there was a willingness to just let Nunez go as long as the price is right. And actually what we saw was he started the first couple of games and was excellent. He scored against Watford in the Cup. He was, absolutely crucial in our win against Portsmouth. And then it went, okay, yeah, he's the only attacking midfielder we've got. He's someone who can create it and can dictate tempo. And then it was, okay, he's got injured again against Portsmouth a couple of games ago. And it was like, okay, this is the Nunez that has always shown glimpses, but has then found an injury. And that's been the real niggle with Nunez over his time at Norwich, is as soon as he hits kind of a bit of form, he's out for a month. And that will all, that has been the issue. But he is an incredibly talented footballer. I mean, you would have seen it from the East Anglian derby last season. He scored the winner, but he
erased it, mate. Can't remember it.
So yeah, I mean, I think it comes down into this. It's as simple as will.
Let's say
Norwich
one thing, Jack. I watched Bristol City a lot last season, and they didn't play through central midfield.
No.
They had a 3 at the back. They pressed. Jason Knight and Max Bird were decent, and Jason Knight was kind of the one player you looked at, and it was like, oh, is that the built a star there? But you'll have seen Jason Knight play over the years. He's a runner, glues things together. He's not like a progressive passer, to use a cliquey new footballing term. Is there even an argument that Liam Manning goes, nah, Norwich has got some really good players in the front areas as well, really good age as well. And also in terms of building stars at Norwich, they've invested lots of money into all areas of the pitch this summer. But can you buy the argument that Manning, if you caught him without a microphone near him, might go, I don't need a creative central midfield player. I can put two runners in there and get a tune out of, especially if you've got Sargent as well. You won't be short for goals, are you?
Well, the system is confusing at the moment. And I think we're still trying to figure that out. We have gone with the kind of 3 centre-backs and then, very progressive wing-backs, I guess. I think it's important to say that Liam Manning had a say in this. He's not just being sold behind Manning's back. Liam Manning would have had the ultimate sign-off on this, 100%. So he has agreed to the sale of Nunez, and he will be replaced by Pell Matson, as we kind of discussed earlier, but that's not a like-for-like replacement. No. So Manning's obviously confident that he can go to battle without Nunez. But in the first 3 games of this season, Nunez, other than Sargent, was the most influential player in those performances. So it's what I would say for both Ben Knapp and Liam Manning is this is an incredibly bold call. They can't afford to get this wrong. They cannot afford to get this wrong because it's
to my point, Jack, about us talking in April. If you guys are in the top 6 and I don't know, Cernak, Sargent's banging the goals in, still there, and you're looking like a playoff side or even better, it can kind of be a little bit forgotten. Winning cures everything in football, right?
Of course, but it has to be that. It has to be Norwich City in the top 6. I think if Nunez was still here, or even if Nunez wasn't here and he'd gone anywhere other than Ipswich, as long as the performances were of a standard, we could have afforded to be 10th. And I think
I'm just smiling, Jack, because if Nunez was still there in April, we just wouldn't invent the idea that he would have signed for Ipswich in August. I'd say that to you, and you'd be like, "What are we talking about? That's a deal that would never have been. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what makes the whole thing so ludicrous."
Well, it's one of those, Ben, where one of these absolutely nonsensical transfer Facebook pages where you see it.
I love those. Yeah.
It's just like a sort of AI made up thing, isn't it? And you laugh it off and you go, "Oh, that's good. That's good for a few clicks." But it's actually happened, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I mean, we've both been on this YouTube game for a long while now, and I can't recall a single story actually in Norwich City's time, maybe other than when we beat Manchester City 3-2 and that kind of hit national press
with no players.
I can't recall a reaction where Spurs fans, Arsenal fans, United fans are texting me going, "What on earth have you just done?" I think the magnitude of this is still yet to be properly seen, and I question whether those at Norwich City understood the gravitas of this as well. And that's what concerns me here.
Jack, I think they do. And I think they did. And I think it's like you say it's a gamble. They'll say it's a calculated gamble. And for those that will criticise us for mentioning that people are American or South American in terms of the player, Ben Napper and Mark Ashton aren't. And they might have been the 2 guys on the phone with the agents doing this deal.
I guess finally, Nunez has obviously seen this in some shape, an upgrade, and he will have deemed this a step in the right direction in his career. Everyone, start of the season, were tipping Ipswich to go up. I think both of our starts have been somewhat slow, and there's been good bits and bad bits. Where are Ipswich at in terms of progression in the Championship this season? Can we expect you guys to be knocking around the top 6?
in a right muddle is the answer. So, and I don't think this is just messaging from McKenna. I think he's quite honest that something that should have taken like 6 transfer windows to do is being done in 2 transfer windows. Basically, all the Premier League TV money spent last year, and then of course Amari Hutchinson in, straight back out, Liam Delap in, straight back out, and you're essentially building a new team. And there's good news and bad news, because the good news is that in the end, Kieran McKenna got the pattern of play out of the double promotion team, and they went like a rocket ship. What people forget, Jack, is McKenna came in, had half a season, and the team that got promoted in League One really went to 5th gear in February. So it took a lot of the season to lock in the pattern of play. And what is Leif Davis just going to teach it to the other 10 players now who weren't there? So I hope what is going to happen is, being a year 1 parachute team might cover, they'll have enough star power to win games if they're not playing well, just on player quality. And then you hope the pattern of play clicks in. And we see something. Do you remember Southampton under your mate Russ? Started really badly for like 6 weeks, and then went 23 games unbeaten. And Leeds under your mate Daniel started really badly and it was only that Ipswich and Leicester went out like a train. So they're in a muddle at the moment, Jack. And it's like, people are saying, Ben, how have you spent £150 million to be worse than your League One team? And it's like, yeah, I'm kind of with that. They've just got to get the pattern of play, because this squad is the best squad Ipswich have had, since the one in the Premier League with Matt Holland and Marcus Stewart and, all of those players in it. But we'll see how good McKenna is now, won't we? Because he's got to get a pattern of play into a team. And also, everyone's got all the data on what he did last time as well, in terms of stopping him. So, but money talks in the Championship, and it buys you quality, but doesn't buy you time though, Jack, if you're 14th in December or whatever, does it?
That's very true. Or maybe a certain small Chilean midfielder is the man to get you out of a muddle.
Just tell me quickly, mate, what is your absolute worst case? This would just be funny so I can clip it out. What is your absolute worst case scenario for this transfer and Nunez?
Well, I think it actually starts before that. So we play Blackburn on Saturday. Todd Cantwell scores the winner.
Captain Todd Cantwell, yeah.
Captain Todd Cantwell does his little surfing celebration. Sargent leaves on deadline day, and then Nunez scores the winner in the East Anglian derby.
With Ipswich promoted, Norwich finished 7th and missed the playoffs on goal difference, yeah.
I think if that were to happen, I will swap my season ticket for a Great Yarmouth Town one and say goodbye to all things yellow and green.
Oh, mate, you're a good sport for doing that. That'll do really well over on Blue Monday tonight, mate.
Look, we will catch up more times throughout this season. I cannot wait in some sadistic way for the derby at Portman Road. There was so much narrative.
What a storyline now.
Look, we'll catch up soon. Ben, thanks very much.
Legend, mate. Up the Nunez.